17 recently broke a record that turned heads, in which it also started a conversation about just how valid these types of records are. According to Honto Chart, 17's latest mini-album FML has sold more than 4 million physical copies globally. This made them the first and only artist in the history of the chart to surpass 4 million album sales within a week. Not only has this album become the first to sell over 4 million copies in its first week, but it's also surpassed the first week sales of all other K-pop groups since Honto Chart started its service in 1993. The album that previously held the top spot on the chart was BTS's Map of the Soul 7, but now it's playing second fiddle to FML. But there's a major issue with the way sales are counted in the K-pop industry. Many albums are purchased by the same person to inflate their favorite group's first week sales. Sure, some may do it to collect photo cards or increase their chances of winning fan events, but unfortunately, many surplus albums and merchandise end up in the trash. With the way FML had nearly 900 photo cards, you can tell that most of the purchases were made to collect photo cards. But have you ever wondered what happens to all those K-pop albums that don't get sold or are purchased in bulk? Well, it turns out that many fans are unwilling to let them take up precious space in their homes, and since the albums lose their value for most people once they don't have inclusions, they can't give them away or sell them either. The result? Hundreds of FML albums were seen lying around on the streets, in record stores, and even on coffee shop tables, discarded and unopened. Carrots did try to persuade the other fans to take responsibility for the bulk buying, urging others to buy only what they needed since the environment was being harmed by their actions, but their pleas went unnoticed. Since Korea has some of the strictest recycling and trash disposal laws in the world, each building and street has its own designated disposal areas, and it's considered a big no-no to throw your trash in areas that aren't allocated to you. So when whole boxes of unsealed K-pop albums suddenly started to appear on the streets, it's no surprise that it raised the eyebrows of everyone, not just K-pop fans. Some of them even opened other trash bags so they could throw in their albums, or just left them in a pile next to the bags. People also discovered that fans had left unsealed albums at a cafe within a record shop. The fan in question had left a note telling others that they could help themselves to the albums if they wanted, but they received criticism for dumping them at a cafe which had no relations to Carrots or 17 events. Netizens commented, "What's the point of selling a lot of albums if you're going to do this in the end? That's why we should start counting one album per person." And they have 18 versions of an affordable album, 899 photo cards, fan signs in 3 countries, plus fan calls that are like a lottery system. 17's records are a scam. With all of this happening, all we're left to do is wonder, does selling millions of K-pop albums really mean anything at this point? This isn't a dig at 17 whatsoever, as you can't say that their popularity is fraudulent, but it seems like more and more groups are becoming million sellers lately, a feat which wasn't achieved easily in the past. You can credit this to the rise in popularity of the genre as a whole, but there is undeniably a huge sales inflation compared to before 2020. Now companies have found new ways to get fans to purchase albums and inflate their sales inorganically. First, the reason that fans used to purchase so many albums was to get into fan signs with their favorite artists. However, in the past, fans could only attend these fan signs in person, so they were either from South Korea or could go there on short notice. But ever since the pandemic, these fan signs have turned into video calls with idols, giving the chance and opportunity to everyone with enough money to bulk buy albums and get a video call. Unlike in-person fan signs where recording is strictly prohibited, video allows fans to record their interactions with idols and share them with the world. This can bring companies a lot of social media engagement, as some companies even encourage fans to record and share their video call experiences, as it generates more buzz and hype around their artists. Gone are also the days when an in-person fan sign had 50 winner spots for lucky fans to meet the entire group. Nowadays, we're seeing groups offering 20 to 50 winner spots for each member in these virtual meet and greets, so even if you have one specific member that you'd really like to talk to, you'd still have to buy a ton of albums to win. Then there's the case of companies selling multiple versions of the same album. K-pop albums before the pandemic used to have only a few versions of the album as the norm, but now the album game has changed entirely. In addition to the standard versions, we're now seeing a whole new level of album diversity with member versions, digipacks, jewel cases, and even non-CD versions like Kino, Weverse, and other platforms. Most of the time, these albums have a cohesive theme and won't look good on your bookshelf if you don't buy all the versions. This urges fans to buy multiple versions of the same album, even if all of them contain the same things and offered nothing different. And of course, there's photo cards, one of the main reasons why bulk buying is still a thing. On top of more than 100 photo cards being offered, companies have started to offer store-exclusive photo cards that you can get through pop-up stores or video calls. This means that dedicated collectors will buy lots of albums from different stores so that they can get all the different photo cards. Nowadays, groups are doing different versions for as many as almost 20 stores, with NMIXX doing more than 50 for their latest comeback. As a solution, many collectors tend to join group orders, where the group order manager arranges for an individual in Korea to unbox the albums and send over only the photo cards to the buyers. This method is much more cost-effective than shipping the entire album. However, with the increasing number of album versions, some fans are now required to purchase over 20 albums to obtain all of the available limited edition items, as opposed to just 4 to 5 copies in the past, which would allow them to collect all of the regular album photo cards of their favorite members. Many fan sign events also offer exclusive photo cards for purchase during fan sign, so even if a fan is not aiming to attend the fan sign, some collector fans will still buy from the store just to obtain the limited edition photo cards. Knowing all this, it's hard to not raise a few eyebrows at the authenticity of these records and numbers. How could you be proud of your favorite artist selling over 1 million albums if most of the albums sold end up in landfills and trash bags? Most of these achievements seem to have stemmed from extreme and severe cases of bulk buying, which makes the accomplishments fraudulent, not to mention all the damage that it does to the environment. With almost every K-pop group becoming million sellers, it has come to a time where concerts and tours are going to be considered the main indicator of popularity and fandom power. A person can buy hundreds of albums, but there is no way that a single individual can fill up 200 seats at a concert. If we take any big groups from the second generation, we could see that they can't pull the same number of sales as some fourth generation groups who are selling millions, but they could also fill stadiums without breaking a sweat. K-pop fans are focusing so much on breaking sale records and topping the charts that they're not realizing that all of those achievements mean nothing when the group that they're supporting has no relevance outside of their own fandom. Back then, 1 million albums sold meant that the group had a dedicated fan base and had also appealed to the general public enough for them to purchase the album. Now it just seems that the fandom is rich and that the company put out tens of versions of albums that the fans bought. Sometimes these groups don't even have the fandom or relevance to justify the sales. The artists in particular are deeply affected by this behavior, as it implies that their albums hold no particular significance to their own fan base. Discarding their work like this is pretty offensive to them. Let's not get it twisted though. This phenomenon of purchasing physical albums to drive up sales isn't exclusive to only K-pop artists, as Western entertainment agencies have been proven to pull dirty tricks since the dawn of time. They release different versions of albums and vinyls, which fans buy as they're provided with additional merchandise to collect along with the physical album. It's come to a point where fans also use vinyl sales as a measure of their favorite artist's popularity. With a recent study showing that most of the people who buy vinyls don't even own a record player, you can clearly see what's going on. But even if bulk buying is present everywhere, it's more prominent in K-pop. Additionally, the frequency of physical album releases is higher in the K-pop industry, as Korean artists typically release an average of 2 albums per year. This presents fans with more opportunities to add to their collection. In contrast, Western artists usually release 1 album every few years. Unless chart systems in Korea don't come up with a way to filter these sales, K-pop will never be taken as seriously compared to other music markets and won't have a chance to compete with their counterparts in other countries. Tell us your thoughts in the comments. Hope you enjoyed today's video, and we'll see you next time. Bye!